The following is a Candlepin Stars and Strikes rebroadcast featuring some of our most memorable programs.
Thanks very much, everybody, and welcome once again to Park Place Lanes here in Windham, New Hampshire for Candlepin Stars and Strikes, week 3 of our current series. Doug Brown here along with Dan Murphy, and well, we got a pretty warm bowler going right now, Dan Brodeur.
Absolutely. He's just rolling along and bowling extremely well, and he's got to face a rookie this year. You never know what to expect when somebody comes on for the first time.
Dan Brodeur halfway, coming up from that number 4 spot, trying to put 4 wins in a row to qualify for the Tournament of Champions. He's halfway home anyway.
Right, and he's had quite remarkable scores in doing it, 440 and again 397 last week.
All right, let's meet our two bowlers. First of all, the guy we've been speaking of, he's got 2 wins in a row. He's been averaging well over his normal league average here on Stars and Strikes the last couple of weeks. From Bow, New Hampshire, Dan Brodeur.
And we will mention that league average at 125, but put that to shame the last few weeks, and his roll-off score was 670.
And, of course, Dan, as Dan Murphy mentioned, will be bowling a newcomer here on Stars and Strikes in his 3rd consecutive appearance as he looks to try and make it 3 wins in a row. Guy who comes up from Brighton, Massachusetts, outside Boston, Stu Bergman.
Okay, and Stu comes in averaging 120, has a high single of 185, high triple 446, and his roll-off score 6 pins better than Dan Brodeur at 678.
Of course, the winner of this match will move on and face our number 1 seed, Joe Ashline, in our series championship match next week. And the runner-up will have to try and come back later on in the season to qualify for the Tournament of Champions. We have our bonus ball contest later on today. That'll be worth $40. But more importantly, we have 3 strings of bowling to get to with Dan Brodeur and Stu Bergman, and we will get to that right after we do these messages. Stay. All right, here's where we stand on Stars and Strikes as we begin week 3. Dan Brodeur coming up from that number 4 spot. First beat Tim Lipke, and then last week Bob Kelly. Today he challenges our number 2 seed Stu Bergman. The winner of this match, as I mentioned, goes on to meet Joe Ashline next week in our series championship match. So here's Dan Brodeur, 440 2 weeks ago, and then 397 last week.
Well, off target to the right, but not too bad of a lead. 1, 2, 4.
With the 2 wins in the last couple of weeks, Dan has now improved his record here on the show to 5 wins and 6 losses. Misses the head pin, but he'll have something to shoot at here. The 1, 9, and 10 with wood. And it's even looking a little better here.
It's got beyond the head pin. He's got a better than average chance of making it.
Yes. And here he makes it again. Kicking out the 9 pin. Lots of wood down there to help him out. Now our first look at Stu Bergman. Stu with that 678 roll-off score.
Which is 8 pins better than Dan Brodeur. I thought at the opening of the show I made a mistake, but I didn't. As you were quick to point out, Doug. Just a mere hint. It's
Well,
like sharks.
Actually, you did make him. Oh, there's a big strike for Stu Bergman, getting his first mark as he kicks out the 9 pin. I was about to say, then you did make a mistake because you thought you made one and you didn't. So you were wrong.
Working with this crew and Doug, it's just, even when you're right, you can't be right. Dan Brodeur filling the spare with the half dozen. And again, he has the 1, 2, 4, but this time the 10 pin as well. I don't think if he splits the 1, 2, he's going to like the wood.
Oh my!
No.
Robbed.
Wow.
Robbed that time. He hit it. It just didn't go over.
I thought the wood might spoil the shot. Well, maybe it did. Maybe it prevented this pin, but this pin slid over, and he just, Dan, unfortunately, does not get a mark to show for it.
But he does get the 10, and let's see if we can figure out what happened here. It's the 4 pin that slid over.
Actually hit it above the red line to straighten it back up and slid it.
Right back in the pocket, but not much to show for it. A diamond and the 10 pin in the corner.
2, 4, 5, 8, and 10.
Oh, nice shot. Dan Brodeur. Could have been 3 in a row just as easily, but he'll take that one. That was a difficult shot.
Say poetic justice, but this doesn't make up for the last one because he did hit that one. And he hit this one as well and just cleared that diamond plus the 10 pin out of there. Working on a strike. And here's his first look at a single pin for a spare, that being the 3 pin. Trying to go strike spare.
Watch out. Slides by.
Take it off. Make it a 10, 38 through 3. And a 3 pin advantage.
And another 9 drop for Stu. This time a 10 pin with a piece of wood in front, and it's moving. And he's able to drive it through for his second mark. Matching the spare that Dan Brodeur put up in the 4th. Well, the 8 pin apparently will stay. 5 on the spare for Dan.
And still the 1 and 10 pin remain. 1 and 10 pins remain, I guess. I'm trying to work out with a 9 or a 10. Or an 8. 58 through 5.
Dan is from Bow, New Hampshire, and does a lot of his bowling at Boutwell's in Concord.
Where was that?
Boutwell's in Concord.
Oh, yes.
Perhaps you've heard of it. And works at Concord Litho Company as an industrial electrician. And the last 2 weeks, he's been tearing it up here at Park Place Lanes.
Now here's a situation where I may try to play the left-hand tip of the wood and swing the wood around, hoping the 5 pin will go and then into the 10.
Skip that one a little bit.
Yeah, actually dropped that right on the foul line.
Oh, a couple of opens for Dan Brodeur and an opportunity for Stu Bergman to extend his lead here in the first game.
Well, it's a drop of 8.
This may go. That wood angled on the 7 and the 8.
Going to try to hit the red line and sweep it across. Not quite far enough down. He can gain a couple more and count with a 10 box.
And now the lead is 10. Stu from Brighton, section of Boston. Did I say 10? It's 8. The lead is 8, not 10. The computer is right. I'm wrong.
You must have meant 8, Doug. You don't make mistakes.
Shot for Stu Bergman as he hangs up a spare in the 6th.
A little difficult shot, too, because he had to negotiate that front piece of wood, get by that. And it's a 9-pin advantage. Plus, he'll increase that by the number of pins he knocks down with the first ball. Next time he goes up on lane 32. Not too bad for missing the head pin. The 1 and the 2 left for Dan Brodeur.
Got it. Mark number 3 for Dan.
Well, he's had 6 and 5 in the 2 previous marks. This time 7. And the triangle in the left-hand corner, 4, 7, 8.
Pulled it. And takes the 10. 94 through 8.
Stu Bergman will be working on a spare in the 6th, 76 already.
Let's see, that wood is rolling forward. 7 drop, making the lead 16, at least for the moment. Missing. Stu works as an accountant. Does a lot of his bowling down in Weymouth, Mass. at the Colonial Bowl. And he's right back on the head pin, and it'll be a 10-pin.
And well, much
a sliding 10-pin.
Yes, much like Dan Brodeur's spare that he hit. This time it looked like Stu was going to have a strike, but the 10-pin refused to go down.
Right on it for the spare.
You see Dan Brodeur's roll-off score at 670.
Full on the number 1 that time.
Watch
but
out.
You got a break.
That second piece of wood wasn't there to slow the piece that was moving across. He might have had a strike. Instead, the 6-pin stands.
Yes. I don't think Dan wanted to do that.
I don't think so either. He kind of stood right up at the foul line saying, oh boy, I missed that. And he missed it far enough left to clear the wood. And the wood helped him out.
Right through the center for a 5 drop, and an ugly one at that.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. No, 1, 2, 3 are out of there. What else?
Yes.
Well, give me time to figure that one out, but that's another spare.
Whatever it was, it's gone now.
A nice shot by Dan Brodeur.
For his 5th mark. And it's 119 plus a ball. And he'll add 7 more for a 126.
Oh, make it 8.
8. 127.
He's determined to catch me at this score.
127 for Dan Brodeur in his opening game on 5 marks, which is probably not as high a score as he would like with 5 spares. Stu Bergman now with a strike on spare, and I was just about to say, Dan, that he had marked 4 consecutive times on lane 31, but had been open 4 times in a row here on lane 32. Not anymore.
Right flush on the nose on the head pin that time too, and got a nice break off it.
Look out, look out. There's the double. Stu Bergman with the double.
Just enough to tip the 5 pin.
.142 plus the fill on the strike. So Stu Bergman making a pretty impressive debut here on Stars and Strikes with a 150 opening game. Make it a 157. It was even better than I thought. And he's got a 30-pin advantage after 1 here on Stars and Strikes. We'll be back with game 2 in a minute. All right, second game now with Stu Bergman. Set to go and leading by 30 as he racked up 6 marks in that first game, Dan, and he was a perfect 5 for 5 over on lane 31. 5 times over there, 5 marks. And he's got one there on lane 32. I guess when you start to find both lanes in the TV pair, you know you're going to be okay.
Absolutely.
And this is the one he's had great success on. And he'll have a spare leave again, the 1-9. Yes, that'll go.
Boy. I thought he might have been too far left to have the benefit of the wood behind the head pin, but with all the wood in the right-hand channel, you see a couple of pieces come out, and finally one comes out to knock the 9 pin down. So 2 marks facing Dan Brodeur, which doesn't want to get too much further behind. One, 2, 4, 8, and the 10 pin. Dan's going to be shooting for that head pin to give himself a chance, inside or out.
Just missed it to the left. If I can be allowed a personal indulgence here for a moment, just want to take a second to wish my mom a happy birthday on this November 17th. Very special lady, and I just wanted to wish her a happy birthday. She's also a faithful viewer of both Stars and Strikes and Stars and Strikes doubles, and a big fan of yours, Dan Murphy, I might add.
She is a charming lady. She really is. Now, all kidding aside, I've met your mother, and she's a doll. I'm sure you'll save a piece of cake from me.
Yeah, if there's any left when I get there.
Oh, nice shot by Dan Brodeur. It's just when he thinks he's starting to struggle, he picks up a shot like that, and that's enough to get you untracked again. We'll see what happens, but Stu Bergman is untracked himself with 2 marks in a row in the second game.
Just kept catching the head pin that time as he slid by. Well, they have to show us one here.
Well, he's just going to go after the 2 pin and hope he can cut it to the left-hand side and cut it over like that.
Ooh.
Wow.
Actually made the shot, but the 9 pin didn't go.
.43 through 3. And 43 pin lead right now. Two, 5, and 7. Looks good.
Yes.
He's making everything in sight right now. Just enough to catch that 7 pin. Watch the 2 pin. Just wraps around the 7. His 3rd mark out of 4 boxes in the second game. Dan Brodeur working on a spare.
Pretty good pocket hit that time for Dan. Leaves the 2 and the 5. And that was a fill on a spare, remember? Dan's studying it. Missing.
Too far left and push the 2-pin in front of the 5.
So he's lost 5 pins more in this game, and now he's opposite a mark. And he'll have another spare leave, maybe. Depending on. Well, it's not going to be easy anyway because that piece on the piece of wood on the left is not moving.
No, he's going to have to play the 1 on the left. He's going to have to hit it high, but it's going to come in contact with a second piece.
Got it.
Actually helped him.
Couldn't tell from the angle of the camera, but that wood was blocking his access to the pin, but he was able to drive it through, getting the spare in the 4th, and we will take a break with each bowler working on marks when we return. Stu Bergman ready to go, working on a mark.
See the graphic first time on Stars and Strikes, but it certainly isn't bowling like this first time. That's strike on spare, and he's already at 73. Opening game of 157, and you see the replay of that strike. Another good-looking ball.
Brooklyn side this time.
You would like to see that wood nestle in next to these 3 pins. That's going to help.
Nope.
Just missed the object. A little to the left. That's an 8 drop on the strike.
Well, let's see. First time on Stars and Strikes. Halfway through the match, through completed boxes, he's at 238. That's not too bad.
Not at all. So we should end up with 476. Is that what you're saying, Doug?
Hey, we'll see. We'll see. Could be higher the way he's going.
That's a leave that you don't see too often. 2, 5, and 9.
And that 2-pin is just a little bit off the spot with the wood nestled against it. And it probably hurt him in the long run. $9 for Dan. The lead continues to mount, and Dan Brodeur has 15 boxes remaining to try and chip away. Watch out. It'll be the 1 and the 10.
Wood's still moving. Still going to be the 1 and the 10, but he had a little room for error when they were frozen against the back of the head pin. And now he's definitely got to hit the head pin. Before he might have been to clip the wood and have it snap forward.
No, too far left. Waiting in the wings, waiting to get a shot at the winner of this match, Joe Ashline, our #1 seed. And of course, if you were with us a couple of weeks ago, you know that Dave Richards is already safely into the Tournament of Champions with a 418. And Stu Bergman will have a 7-pin to shoot at here.
Oh, he's going to have the... So, has a choice.
Probably would rather not have a choice.
Well, I know what I would do.
Nope.
That's a 9.
It's a $9. What would you have done?
I would have gone for the wood.
Interesting. I would have expected you to say the opposite.
Well, the reason I say is he had another piece of wood in the channel, so if you cut the dead wood in front, you still had a chance of it coming out. So I just like to increase my chances. Of course, if I did that in the league, everyone's, oh, wood player, you know, yeah. That's what it's there for. Not to mention, lying down, it's a lot wider than it is standing up.
That's right.
Oh, great effort.
How'd he miss that? Spun that wood around and it didn't convert. Again, for the second series in a row here on Stars and Strikes, we're happy to have as participating sponsors Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan in Salem, New Hampshire. Come to Salem and save at Rockingham Toyota Dodge Nissan. And Somerville Lumber, where you can get it right the first time. All the folks at Somerville Lumber. Happy to have them a part of Stars and Strikes. And you as well every week now for 2 hours, noon to 2.
Well, it's going to looking at the 6 and the 9. It was almost a 6-7-9.
Nope. By the way, if from time to time you wonder why we don't, for instance, talk about the upcoming doubles show after we finish here as far as who's on, a lot of times when we're taping, the dates are staggered so that we really don't know who's going to be on from one week to the next, or from one show to the next, I should say.
Sometimes we know and we're afraid that we'll spill the beans and people won't watch. It's pretty tough to keep them straight sometimes.
Yeah,
especially when you get bowlers on both shows. Someone asked me who won last week, and I have to dig down and think, well, who was bowling? And oh, was that the singles or the doubles? But a lot of fun and a lot of excellent Candlepin bowlers now every Sunday for 2 hours, starting at 12 noon.
Well, Dan Brodeur has just been off target.
Yeah, he's struggling right now, and it's that time in the match where he's got to really start putting some offense up. That's what he wanted to do. 44 pins is the advantage for Stu Bergman.
A little full, and as a result, the split with 3, 6, and 7 still standing. Will it go? No, not this time.
.117 through 9. Already at 274. Dan Brodeur's probably saying to himself, how am I going to pull this out and get close to a 400 triple, if not more than 400, because that's what it looks like Stu Bergman is going to be around.
Well, the other thing that Dan's probably thinking about is that this is the 5th consecutive open frame for Stu Bergman, and Dan really hasn't been able to take advantage of it as yet. But he has another chance here with 2 frames remaining here in the middle game. 127 and a 2-string total 284 for Stu Bergman. Oh, Dan right back on the head pin. Nice pocket hit, and he gets it. He waited. I don't think he was convinced that it was going to go.
Well, the way they've been sliding around on him the last couple of boxes, the last game, and Stu the same thing, that he had to wait to see if the 10-pin was actually going to drop.
That's his first strike. He had 7 spares prior to that. Looking for 2 if it falls the right way, but it won't.
He doesn't care which way it falls as long as it will fall now.
Wow.
Still rocking. See daylight at the base of that pin, rocking back and forth, and he's got a tough choice. He almost wants to fit it in the hole and just clip that wood lying down in front of the 4-pin. Or you could pinch the 5, but I think he's going to, yeah, he's trying to go in the middle.
Yep. Well, Stu Bergman will add a few more pins to his lead from this middle game and carry over an advantage into the third and final. 123 for Dan Brodeur in game 2, a two-string total 250 and 34 pins. As you see the difference with one game to go. The winner of this one moves into the finals against Joe Ashline. Dan Brodeur in a bit of a pickle here with one game to go.
34 pins, 34 pickles.
Boy, that looked better.
Certainly did. But instead, the 8, the 10, and the 6. And, well, let's see where the wood settles down. He may have an outside shot at this. And he wants that wood as far up as he can get it. It's not going to happen for him, so. Now, it doesn't look like it could help. I think he's going to have to go after either split the 6 to 10 or inside of the 6 and into the 10 and off the wall. The way he's waiting, I have a funny feeling he may be still thinking wood. No, inside. Good effort, though. You notice when I try to call the shot and they play it my way, I always say good effort.
Well, it wasn't there either way, apparently. No. And all after a pretty good first ball, too.
I think Dan, with 250, he's got to be thinking a 150 game for 400 and hope Stu has a little subpar game around 115, 16. But to do that 150, you got to start. 4 horsemen right plus the 7 pin.
And again, it looked like he might have gotten a little bit more of a break even though he missed the head pin, and the 10 stayed up. It's off the spot, too.
Dan just a little late with his release, a little bit behind himself. Tried to overcorrect, I think, that time and dropped the ball. So a pair of 8 pins, 8 boxes, I should say.
The runner-up in this match takes home third prize money of $250. The winner, of course, goes on for a shot at the big money next week against Joe Ashline. Next week, $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the runner-up.
Well, this will be 6 open frames in a row going back to the second game for Stu.
Ever since I mentioned he was 238 halfway through the match, actually.
I wasn't going to say it, but I'm certainly going to tell Stu after the match.
Watch out, coming back this way, leaves the head pin. Yes. Mark number 11 for Stu Bergman. Dan Brodeur has 8.
Similar shot that both bowlers have had throughout the match. The 4 horsemen plus the extra pin, and this time it being the 9 pin.
Coming into today's show, Dan had averaged 139 per game in his first 2 weeks here. But he slipped back a little bit here, and of course he found himself up against a guy who got off to a great start. Stu Bergman had a 157 opening game, in case you tuned in late. That pin almost stood up again.
It's just not in the cards right now for Dan Brodeur. He's thrown some good balls, and it just, in fact, that was a great one there, and he leaves himself the 8 and the 10. A makeable shot if he can avoid hitting the wood, just hit the 8 pin clean. It should send the wood into the 10, but not much room to play with. So he's going to be open the first 4, which I'm sure he doesn't want to be, trailing by 36.
And Stu Bergman comes up looking to add to the lead as he's working on a mark. Only 4.
Well, both bowlers have cooled off considerably from their starts. Stu started with a 157, as Doug mentioned, followed with a 127, and Dan Brodeur opened with a 127, followed with a 123.
Wow. A very thin hit on the head pin that time.
1, 2, 3, 4. The wood's going to do some damage. Whether or not they can clear them all away remains to be seen. Well, watch out.
This may go. Let's see. No. Wow, I thought that might take it out. Well, there's still room, certainly, for Dan Brodeur.
He's got to be thinking strikes now.
We'll take a break. The lead is 38 with 6 frames remaining. Stu Bergman over Dan Brodeur. We'll return in a minute. Well, Dan Brodeur knows exactly what he has to do now. Not in terms of the number of pins, but he knows that he's got to start to hang some smudge marks up there on the scoreboard.
Smudge marks. That's a new one, Doug.
Like that?
Yeah. I prefer spares and strikes. But Dan would take a smudge mark right about now. It's different how the game goes from week to week. Last couple weeks, a ball like that 10-pin would have been down. It seems like when you're bowling good, everything seems to go. Well, there were 5 remaining for Dan, and no doubt, he's got to start now. Think back a couple weeks ago against Tim Lipke when he threw the triple. And again, that ball was right in the pocket. Look at this, the 5, 8, 10. You wonder, are you throwing with a little more speed? Have you changed the angle on the pins all of a sudden, or just slightly and caused the pins to react differently? Listen, if someone else out there, write in, tell us.
That's the secret.
That's right. That's what makes this a challenging game.
Couple of 10s. Stu Bergman will step up, knowing that he could really put things out of reach here if he gets even 1 mark.
Well, the first 2 games, it looked like both of them wanted to come back next week. Now it looks like both of them got other plans.
Nine. And off target again.
Cluster of 6 pins right in the middle of the lane for Stu. On the head pin.
There they go.
That could be a big one.
That'll push the lead over 40 probably when he comes up again. Recovering from an off-target first ball.
Well, Dan Brodeur's had a couple strikes, and right now he needs a couple together. Well, almost.
Not having much luck right now.
Everything but the head pin.
misses it.
I think that's one of the harder spares to make, especially when you realize you had to break the first ball by missing the headpin. Just leave it standing. You keep saying to yourself, wow, I got to cash in on this break. I can't miss this. And I think you put a little more pressure on yourself. And Dan's probably thinking triple strike, but he's probably also thinking it takes one to begin with. 1, 3, 7.
Doesn't seem to be getting any easier, does it?
No.
Got it.
That's a nice shot. 1, 3, 7, and that went out there quickly. Stu Bergman working on a spare.
And if he catches up here with another mark or two in the last 4 boxes, he should get his 400 triple. And I'm sure what he's most concerned about now is getting the win. The winning score this week doesn't count. The winning score next week does count. Nine and a spare. Ooh, spread eagle.
That gives him 81 through 7.
The 9. Dan Brodeur working on a spare, but doesn't look too promising right now. Maybe a little late. We'll see. If he puts 2 or 3 more up there, then maybe we'll talk.
It's the same ball he threw just a few boxes ago, but didn't get that kind of a break off it. He's just thinking, let's see if I can pump another one in here.
Oh, he had a piece of wood that appeared to be coming over to take out the 4-pin, and it was intercepted by another piece of wood. That's just the kind of a day it's been. Spare on strike, and he'll have one more ball to come.
Gives him 105 through 9, 115 in the 10th with another ball to come.
And a 6 fill for a 361. Make it 371. 371 for Dan Brodeur.
And Stu Bergman already at 374. So Stu Bergman will move on and face Joe Ashline next week for the ladder championship and, of course, the qualification into the Tournament of Champions.
We apologize for that little technical difficulty a moment ago, but it was a 6 fill for Dan Brodeur and a 121 for his 3rd string total. It hasn't been easy for Stu Bergman here in this 3rd game either.
No, it's actually that 157 opening game, and then 127 is not bad, but he seemed to struggle the latter part of that game, but Dan just couldn't seem to get the offense together either. So a win is a win is a win.
And it will be a win for Stu Bergman. If he can convert this for a mark, he's got a shot at a 400. But he'll take the W. And look forward to facing Joe Ashline next week in the finals. Joe Ashline, the #1 seed. A 9 to close it out for Stu, a 107 and a 391. So a 20-pin victory for Stu Bergman in his first appearance here on Stars and Strikes. We'll be back to talk to the bowlers and go for $40 in our bonus ball contest in a minute. Welcome back to Park Place Lanes, and once again, we are ready to go for a series championship match. It'll be coming up next week, and Stu Bergman will be the man to challenge our #1 seed, Joe Ashline. But before we get to all that, let's talk to both of our bowlers. How about a round of applause now for Dan Brodeur, who has won 2 matches but came up a little bit short here today, and I have the check for you this time, so you can take that home with you, and our congratulations. It just didn't happen this time.
No, I was really bad. Stu will always remember me. That's for sure.
You made it real easy on him there, his first time on.
Yeah, I was awful.
Well, it wasn't a question of, I mean, you were on target a lot of times, but you just weren't carrying the extra pin, it seemed.
Marshmallow ball, I guess. But he got a good jump and had me thinking. The human element, you know.
Again, congratulations on the first 2. Terrific bowling, and we hope to see you again real soon.
Thank you very much.
All right, Dan. Thanks very much. Dan Brodeur. And now for our bonus ball contest, we will have Stu Bergman come up on lane 31 and throw 1 ball for us, and we'll see if we can get a winner of our $40 jackpot, plus a couple of sets of bowling balls from Paramount Industries in Medway.
He's even serious.
I was going to say, taking this very seriously.
He's really serious, even throwing the bonus ball, but he only got 4.
4. We need a 4, Dan.
4 cards?
Let's see what we have here. The guess was 9 by Louis Bodoin, I believe, or Bowden from Methuen, Mass. So, Louis, you'll be receiving a TV50 NHCBA desk pen as a gift. And Stu, step right in here and turn toward the camera so we can get a look at you the first time here. And, boy, nothing to it, right? You get off to a great start and you made it stand up.
Yeah, I felt a little comfortable at the beginning. Got the butterflies out, and then I just let it go for a while. So
those first few marks, though, help when you're starting out, right?
Yeah, definitely. I wasn't as nervous after that.
Well, now I have a feeling you know a little bit about Joe Ashline, the guy you're going to be bowling next week.
Yes, I definitely know about Joe. He's a great bowler.
All right, well, we're looking forward to the match, and we hope you are too, and we'll see you next week and see who gets to the Tournament of Champions.
Thank you.
All right, Stu Bergman with the big win, and that sets it up for next week, our final match between Stu Bergman and Joe Ashline. Interesting matchup.
It certainly is. Now we got 2 veterans. Although one of us only has 1 week under his belt, but he looked like he's been here all his life, so it should be an interesting matchup.
All right, that sets it up for next week. We hope you're here next Sunday at 12 noon here on Stars and Strikes, our series championship match for $1,000 first prize and for the spot in the Tournament of Champions. It'll be Stu Bergman against Joe Ashline. Don't forget, coming right up in a few minutes, Stars and Strikes doubles. And until the next time, for Dan Murphy and the whole TV50 Sports crew, Doug Brown, so long from Park Place Lanes. Bye-bye, everybody.